Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 504. Red Skull Pirate Crew. A Beyonder was allowed to leave the fleet. Without Dannett's deliberate explanation, Klein easily understood why he found it strange. In a Nighthawk's team, even the civilian staff would experience strict restrictions. Even a normal resignation would require them to sign a lifelong confidentiality agreement. They weren't allowed to leave the Nighthawks team's area that they originally belonged to, and once they were approved to move to another city, they had to immediately register at the local Evernite church. From such rules, it could be seen how the officials treated Beyonder's powers and related matters. A Beyonder who had drunk a potion wouldn't be able to leave their organization so easily. Klein clearly remembered that Miss Justice initially had the means and channels to become a Beyonder, but she didn't attempt them. The reason given was that she didn't want to lose her freedom. Similar thoughts ran through his mind, but they didn't become words, because the polite but cold Gehrman Sparrow wouldn't be interested in such rumors. So what? Klein looked at the tableware on the table and calmly asked. Do you know how to make conversation? Blazing Dannett secretly drew a breath and squeezed out a smile. Haha, I just found it strange. We all suspected that he had joined MI9, and that he was using his identity as a captain to monitor the sea routes. It's possible. Klein picked up a glass of water and took a sip. The dishes he ordered were served one by one according to their type. The restaurant even gave him 2 complimentary cups of sweet, bubbling, and light gold premium wine. Klein stopped talking and concentrated on enjoying the food, feeling that it was indeed much better than the second-class dining room. The melodious tunes of a violin resonated amidst the sounds produced from the slight contact between the cutlery and plates. The blue and open sea outside the window rippled quietly, and everything seemed perfect. As Klein was about to be served dessert, a crewman came stomping in and ran to the table where Eland was sitting. Captain, there's a pirate ship! He didn't suppress his voice. Most of the passengers were shocked and stopped eating. Klein looked up, looking across him at Dannett with his eyes dark and cold. Blazing Dannett stiffened for a second, then he smiled bitterly. He lowered his voice and said, If I were to say that this has nothing to do with me, will you believe me? Klein's eyelids twitched as he slowly smiled. Guess. Guess? You son of a B***TCH. Dannett was so furious that he almost cursed. He maintained his smile and said, Your wisdom is enough to judge everything. At that moment, Eland quickly asked about the situation. He stood up and said to the panicking first-class passengers, There's only one pirate ship. We have enough power to deal with it. Ladies and gentlemen, please return to your rooms in an orderly manner and await the arrival of good news. Believe me, the damage caused by chaos far exceeds whatever damage those pirates can do. I don't wish to hear rumors in the future that although we, the White Agate, had succeeded in repelling the pirates, a handful of passengers had fallen and injured themselves. Under his arrangements, and with the support of the crew, Donna and the others left the dining room and returned to their own cabins, which included Klein and Blazing Dannett. I thought you were going to temporarily take over the White Agate and tried to keep it safe from harm. Dannett commented inside room 312 as he closed the door, as though he was watching a play. To be able to immediately throw out an olive branch and talk about creeds and remuneration after finding a suitable candidate showed that he was an extroverted bosun who liked to talk with others. Klein glanced at him, then went to the window and looked out. He saw a large ship with a Red Skull flag fluttering as it cruised towards them. There were chimneys and sails. Know them? Klein held his hands in his pocket and stood behind a thick glass window. Dannett walked to a spot diagonally behind him. After looking into the distance for 2 seconds, he said, Red Skull. A small medium band of pirates. The captain is Seawolf Johnson with a bounty of £900. The first mate is One-Eyed Anderson with a bounty of £500. In the pirate world, a bounty was an important reference point that determined one's status and standing. Considering that he didn't have the ability to move underwater adeptly, it would be easy to have innocents die if he allowed the pirates to board the ship. Klein was silent for a few seconds before asking, Do they know you? Of course. Danitz instantly straightened his back. They're qualified to participate in distinguished gatherings between pirates. I once kicked them in the ass. As expected of a famous pirate worth 3,000 pounds. Kleins asked without a change in expression. Do they have binoculars? That's an essential item. Even if a ship is placed under control, there will be sailors standing on the observation deck, using binoculars to observe the surroundings to prevent any surprise attacks. Danitz replied scornfully. He could finally tell that this dangerous fellow was a new adventurer, and it was very likely that this was his first time at sea. Was he a famous bounty hunter? A member of a secret organization? Danitz subconsciously guessed Gehrman Sparrow's past. During such times, will the captain and the first mate use their binoculars to observe us? Klein originally wanted to address them as 900 pounds and 500 pounds, but he found it a bit impolite. Definitely, they have to keep track of their target, Danitz replied, slightly puzzled. He didn't understand Gehrman Sparrow's goal for asking such questions. From his point of view, if he had his powerful strength, he definitely would have allowed the Red Skull pirates to approach, find an opportunity to board their ship, and then eliminate everyone. Klein tilted his head and looked at Danitz before revealing a gentlemanly and warm smile. That's good. What do you want to do? Don't smile like that. Danitz suddenly panicked and summoned the courage to fight back. Take off your wig, Klein calmly ordered. Ah? Danitz was puzzled as he slowly removed the wig from his head. Klein took out a special bottle of extract from his secret pocket and handed it over. Wipe your eyebrows and face clean. This was a mystical makeup removal extract he had prepared before advancing to Faceless. He had used it when attacking the Wraith from the Rose School of Thought. Although Klein no longer needed it anymore, he had been reluctant to throw it away. Danitz was even more confused. However, he was unwilling to throw himself into an irreversible situation unless he was really attacked, physically. He had no choice but to do as he was told, removing the disguise on his face and restoring his original appearance. Putting away the small metal bottle, Klein opened the window and let the sea breeze pour in. Stand here and look outside. He pointed directly behind the window and said to blazing Danitz. Danitz warily walked over in a daze and stood firmly behind the window. Klein observed for a few seconds, then he calmly said, You have two choices. 1. Crawl out and hang there in an eye-catching manner. 2. You get held by the collar by me and hung there in an eye-catching manner. What do you want to do? Danitz blurted out. Klein revealed his amiable smile again. Show you to the pirates. I believe Vice Admiral Iceberg's fourth bosun holds sufficient weight to persuade them to retreat. No, don't do that. Danitz subconsciously rejected the notion. He could imagine what the people from the Red Skull pirate crew would think when they discovered him. Either Blazing Danitz had been captured, and there was a very terrifying powerhouse on the ship, or the ship was already being targeted by Vice Admiral Iceberg, and that other pirates were to immediately keep their distance. And the way I'm hung up decides which thought they would have. Danitz thought sadly. Klein smiled even more genially. I'm a very easy person to get along with, really, as long as you do as I tell you. At this moment, Danitz once again felt the indescribable sense of hunger. He felt as if his flesh and soul could be torn from his body at any moment. After weighing the pros and cons for a second, he half raised his hands, gritted his teeth, and smiled. I'll do it myself. Holding back his anger and grievances, Danitz turned and climbed out of the window. Using his balance and strength from years of experience, he hung himself off the cabin with his forearm. Don't try to escape. I'm not a patient man. Klein's face turned cold as he gently reminded. Phew. Danitz resisted the urge to release his forearm and jumped straight down. On the pirate ship in the distance, the crew responsible for observing the white agate sent a message to Seawolf Johnson. Boss, there's a weird guy hanging out the window over there. Johnson was stunned for a second. He raised his binoculars and placed it in front of his eyes. He quickly discovered the strange fellow who his subordinate was talking about. The man's position was simply too eye-catching. Isn't that Blazing Danitz? Johnson's brows twitched as he recognized the man. How did he get on the White Agate? What's the meaning of him hanging outside? This is Vice Admiral Iceberg's prey? After a series of questions, Seawolf came to a conclusion. He raised his right hand and said, "Everyone take note. Stay far away from this area immediately." In room 305, Cleves stood by the window with the revolver gripped tightly in his hand as a precaution against the potential sea skirmish. Donna's family was a little frightened. They didn't return to their respective bedrooms, but they instead sat in the living room, waiting for the bombardment to begin. Cecile and the other bodyguard, Teague, stood guard beside them, fully alert. At this moment, a look of confusion appeared in Cleves's slightly aged eyes. After a few minutes, he took a step back, lowered his muzzle, and said to the people, "The pirates have left." "What?" This development left Ertie Branch and the others surprised and confused. They had no idea what the pirates were thinking. Room 312. Blazing Danitz crawled back and couldn't help but give a snort. "You're borrowing my captain's reputation. She really hates these kinds of things. Just wait for Vice Admiral Iceberg to teach you a lesson." Danitz thought angrily. Klein quietly listened and asked, "I remember her reward in loan was 26,000 pounds. This madman." Danitz couldn't find the words to respond.